Speak up. Good morning to everybody in this honorable house here this morning. First of all, again, let me give respect to the Spirit of God, which indeed in charge ahead of my life. It wasn't for him, we not would have been here this morning. Many wish they are here in the land of the living, but they are on the cooling board. But thanks be to God who give us the victory over death, hell, and the grave. We are here. I just want to drop in a little nugget here before, I drop in a little nugget now. So let's take out yawns and leave the rest. Just a little thing, you know that Jesus met the Samaritan woman at the well. We know the story. And Jesus asked her for a drink of water. And she said, man, how you gonna ask me for a drink of water? The Jews and the Samaritan don't mix. So Jesus began to tell her all. Jesus said, where's your husband? She said, I ain't got none. He said, you got one now and you got six. What in yawns? So what she did, she break off running and say, come and see a man that tell me everything. The nugget is for today is that we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Amen? And some of us, I say some, I talk about myself now, we got some skeleton in our closet. Amen? So let us deal with what we got. Eat the yawns and leave the rest. I always say the billy goat can go in the corner, he eat up all the grass. And what he don't want, what he do? He spit out. So what in yawns this morning, eat it up. And what you think in yawns, spit it out. Huh? And remember that God is still on the throne. Don't be the woman like the woman in Samaritan. Don't be like her. Don't let God bust a bubble, Don't let God bust your bubble. Boom, take that, put in your pipe and smoke that. Lock your chin on your chest. Father God, in the name of Jesus, what a fellowship. What a joy divine. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Precious Lord, this morning we ask you, God, to take our hand and lead us on to Canaan fair and happy land, God, where our possession lie. Where Job declared the wicked shall cease from troubling, and our very soul should be at rest. God, we thank you today for this blessed day today. And God, we thank you right now, God, for what you're doing, how about you're about to move, God. We ask you, God, to intervene upon us right now, God. We come against every murdering spirit in this country, God. God, we bind up everything what don't look like you. Father, in the name of Jesus, we need a revival. Revival starts within us, God. Father God, we ask you to send a revival from east, west, north, and south. Deliver our land. Heal our land. We decree and we declare healing right now in the name of Jesus. We pray in Jesus' mighty name. Let all God people say, amen. Thou was taught us to say, children, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is your kingdom, the power and your glory, forever and ever. Amen. May the peace of God be with you all that passes all understanding. Good morning, how are you? Good. Good morning, honorable members. Before we begin, the chair recognizes the honorable member for West Lambaham and Dimini.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with your permission and with that of the opposition, we ask to allow for the member for Pinewood to make an intervention reference to a tornado that visited the Capitol yesterday.
Thank you, honorable member. But before he begins, I'd like to say two words. Bamboo Town was severely affected by that tornado yesterday. The area of Seven Hills
where we would have had several homes that were impacted in one, or two senior citizens where they would have lost their roof and the entire inner structure of their home. There are some people today, honorable member, that I'd like to thank who was immediately dispatched to that area. And I'd like to immediately thank Denley Penmackey, who would have immediately given me the number from Mr. Stephen Dean. And while he was in Garden Hills doing his assessment, he immediately reached out and touched me, and he was on the ground with the quickest of urgency, and I want to thank him for that. I would also like to thank Minister Ramming, she's here, the honorable member for Marathon, and she came armed, honorable member for Fort Charlotte, with the quantity surveyor. So I'd like to say that the Ministry of Works was on the ground immediately in the person of Mrs. Elenice Fernanda. And she came and she did all of her assessments. And on the ground was also the quantity, besides the senior quantity surveyor, there was Philip Culmer, a Defense Force officer, Commander Sonia Miller of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, who had home destruction, a hole in her roof. But what I did not see on the ground was NEMA. And I am saying this because I reached out to Commander Russell, and Commander Russell, I don't know if he was home busy watching the game because I heard he had a game last night, but I could say that he was not there. And that is who we have to reach out for emergency response. And I am terribly, terribly disturbed by that. And I say to him, I told him, I did not lie to him. I told him that I would speak to it from my chair. This is where I have my voice. I had senior citizens at the age of 80 who had live wires, electrical wire hanging, and also no roof and no electricity last night. They had to go to bed with such damage done to their house. And what I can say is we had the team on the ground, but NEMA was not present. Natural disasters do not happen between 9 and 5. Natural disasters can happen at any time in the death of the night. And so I say this to say, these people, if they want desk job from 9 to 5, give them their desk job. Because I had a natural disaster last night, and the minister and all of these other persons were on the ground until 9 p.m. last night, trying to help me bring some resolve. And this morning, the Ministry of Social Services is sending breakfast out. Thank you, Minister, to those persons, making sure that they're having hot meals, and we are trying to find some roof to put over their head as we speak. So thank you, Honorable Member, for that. But I am not going to say that I reached out to the Honorable Member for Pinewood, and he was very, very helpful with me yesterday. But sometimes we have persons who are on assignment under our umbrellas that do not have the same vision that we have in place to take this country forward. So I am very disturbed about that. And they'll understand me. When it comes to Bamboo Town, I don't second guess. And the way those persons had to sleep last night was unbecoming. So you tell Mr. Russell for me, if he is listening, let me say you need a 9 to 5 job. Because I called 7, 8 o'clock in the night, you telling me Ministry of Works was already on the ground. They were already on the ground. So the only persons that weren't present was NEMA. So I don't know. They talk about Jesus yesterday fixing it. Fix it, Jesus. Thank you, honorable members. The honorable member for Pinewood.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I feel your pain. I would have spoken to yourself. I would have spoken to your aide. I would have spoken to the member for Golden Gates with regards to the tornadic activity that happened yesterday. Madam Speaker, I had 2 conversations with the director of NEMA. I conveyed your disappointment. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I let it be known that there were other agencies that turned up, in particular Ministry of Works, and also the team from Social Services. I was advised, and I'm just giving the public the record of what happened, by Commander Russell, that the tornadic activity was in the Cowpen Road area, and that's where NEMA had focused that he was not aware that Bamboo Town had any concerns. That was the message he conveyed to me.
Really?
I would have said to him that in speaking to other members, there were at least 3 communities that was affected. After conveying that message, I would have spoken to the Permanent Secretary, who is acting, Ms. Isla Dean, to convene a meeting sometime today with Commander Russell and the teams from NEMA, and there will be no stones left unturned with regards to the response. I conveyed your message word for word, what you had experienced, in particular, that it affected 2 80-year-old individuals, and that, without going into detail, that if what you were saying, my exact words, what you were saying was correct, and I have no reason not to believe you, that there was a complete breakdown in terms of communication and response. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Exuma and Ragged Island.
Madam Speaker, let me say on behalf of the Prime Minister that this matter will receive attention at the highest possible levels.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Not to belabor the issue, but I want to ensure that the people of the Bahamas understands that our thoughts and prayers are with them, firstly. And secondly, we are a government that cares, and therefore the response will be swift and sure in terms of seeking how the government and all of its agencies might assist.
Thank you, Honorable
I've
Member.
committed to the member for Golden Gates that in her visit later today, that I will see how I might also make a visit in the general area. And I give you assurances that the agencies of government will be at work in responding appropriately to the issue at hand.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Marcos.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I share the view of Acting Prime Minister that we ought to all demonstrate a sense of urgency when there are these tragedies. But let me, as a footnote, indicate, to the best of my recollection, NEMA is a coordinating agency. So I just caution colleagues in all of your considerations that if the relevant agencies that need to render immediate assistance are on site, whether NEMA in the person of Captain Russell appears or not is secondary. What is primary is to make sure those agencies that must touch those persons who are affected, that they show up. So if it's an electrical problem, do we have BPL? Do we have the engineer? And so again, if it is a social services problem, as we know it is after every catastrophic event, whether it's a fire or a tornado, it's important that these agencies show up. But NEMA is a coordinating agency, so in all of your consideration, it would be wonderful that we find out what the facts are. Did they contact those who needed to be there, so that we don't make the presumption that just because there is an event, that there's a dereliction of duty.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Speaker,
Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for
I want
Exuma and Ragged Island.
ensure that we do not belabor the issue.
Yes,
We note the points of the Leader of the Opposition,
we understand.
and we do not seek to personalize the issue, but the agencies of government will respond and will do so appropriately.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for East Grand Bahama and Bimini.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We now can revert to the debate.
Thank you. Honorable members, at the end of the House sessions yesterday, we were getting ready to hear from the Honorable Member for Pine Ridge, who will now take the floor if he's ready. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Pine Ridge.
Madam Speaker and colleagues of this honorable House, a grand good morning.
Thank you, Honorable. Good morning.
It is grand. Yes. It is with gratitude that I once again rise to represent the resiliently beautiful people of the great constituency of Pine Ridge. I do not for one moment take these moments lightly as I came here for the people. And that is on whose behalf I speak to you this morning. It is truly an honor to represent a constituency that is comprised of communities so rich in Bahamian heritage, populated with residents who have made significant contributions to the development of our beautiful island, and filled with historical landmarks that tell the true story of Grand Bahama. Madam Speaker, I pause to convey my heartfelt condolences and deepest sympathy to the families of Dwayne Alexander Swaby Jr., particularly his mother, Erica Pierre, also Gilbert Pratt, mother, Miss Loretta Pratt, remembering families of Geneva Cantor, Dennis Forbes, Elvie Smith, the Johnsons, and other families who have experienced loss in Pine Ridge, Grand Bahama, and the wider Bahamas, including the family of attorney Jethro Miller, QC. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Again, Madam Speaker, it is on behalf of the people of Pine Ridge that I am here today in support of the 2022-23 budget communication presented by the Honorable Member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, themed Budget 2022, The Way Forward. Since I love to change things up, I have renamed the first national budget presented in this honorable house by this Davis Cooper administration as the Budget for the People. This Budget for the People outlines the priorities of this government, and it proves that this administration has heard the cries of the people, listened to the concerns of the people, and has not only brought relief for the people, but is determined to provide empowering opportunities for the people. I say to the people of Pine Ridge, to the people of Grand Bahama, and to the people of the Bahamas, this administration said that we would recover, rebuild, and revolutionize our country, and this budget represents the beginning of it. This budget represents a paradigm shift. It represents real revolutionary change. It shows with leadership, with heart, with love for our people, with a focused agenda, and with an execution strategy to get our country on track, combined with compassionate leadership, can do for our country. Madam Speaker, the Davis Cooper administration came here to deliver results for the people. In his budget communication, the Honorable Member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador presented a strategic plan that addresses the current realities and challenges faced by the Bahamian people and the Bahamas at large. Budget 2022, The Way Forward, is focused on three central priorities that affect the daily lives and the very existence of our people. This includes pay increases for public officers, full reinstatement and payment of all outstanding increments, salary increase for teachers and a retention bonus for teachers and nurses, an increase in social assistance by 50% in comparison to pre-pandemic levels, the reintroduction of the RISE program, giving families access to food assistance with dignity, increased funding for NGOs by 10%, the landmark allocation for catastrophic healthcare, a first for the government of the Bahamas, which provides assistance to long-term dialysis patients, heart patients, and others facing serious medical issues. And of course, the announcement that funding has been included in this budget to capitalize the Grand Bahama Health Center Development Company, the entity that will construct the new hospital on Grand Bahama with an oncology center. Through you, Madam Speaker, Honorable members, how many of you know about PTC1? Well, PTC1 is the acronym for Potential Tropical Cyclone 1. And Potential Tropical Cyclone 1 wanted to pay a visit to Grand Bahama Island like many storms before. At its closest point, it approached 90 miles from the coast of West End, traversing the coast of the northern Bahamas. In its wake, it created high levels of flooding and reminded residents of the life-changing impact of Hurricane Dorian just 32 months ago. For some, it felt like deja vu, reliving the memories, still haven't fully recovered, and still rebuilding their lives. The next day, the member for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, the member for Fox Hill, AKA Fox Hill, Grand Bahama, Senator Kirkland Russell, Deputy Director of Urban Renewal, Northern Bahamas, who's tasked with small home repairs, and Senator James Turner and I were on the ground assessing the damage, formulating next step strategies, and building a responsive system to get the job done. What I can say, Madam Speaker, is that we are addressing the urgency of now. The fact that no, we will never forget, and that we have a moral obligation to bring relief to our people now, in the midst of it all, in the midst of inflation, other priority needs, rising cost of living, and ever-increasing vulnerability to climate change. So, Madam Speaker, we are going to get the job done. We are going to get it done by immediately addressing it head on. We are talking about our people, Madam Speaker. On Tuesday, my colleagues and I discussed in great deal the need for basic social assistance, home repairs and associated work, shelter restoration and construction. We have taken an all-hands-on-deck approach to develop the plan and simply get the job done. That includes representation from the Office of the Prime Minister, Disaster Reconstruction Authority, NEMA, the Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development, the Ministry of Works, and the Ministry for Grand Bahama. Madam Speaker, this goes to the heart of the matter. PTC1 was just a potential tropical cyclone, and look at what it did. Climate change is here. So when the opposition reverts to their failed strategy of travel of the Prime Minister and others, I want to remind them that the member for Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador, and the Prime Minister of Barbados have been leading the way in the region on climate change and resiliency. The member for Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador has been saying to the world, now look, we as a small island developing state are not the ones creating the issues that directly impact us, yet we are paying the greatest price. And in the words of the member for Fort Charlotte yesterday in this honorable house, we contribute the least to global warming and suffer the most from global warming. Our counterparts throughout the Caribbean have been agitating for same, and the voices are becoming louder. The voices need to be louder because we in this little, beautiful country are the recipients of the ravages of climate change. So, Madam Speaker, we will travel. Our Prime Minister will travel to show that, yes, the Bahamas is here. We will not be silenced and take our rightful place in all matters related to climate change, mitigation, adaptability, and resiliency. And for Grand Bahama Island, we are right there with him. We are with him because if there's one island that has seen it all, been through it all, and still going through it all, it would be the place that I love, the place that I call home, Grand Bahama Island. But Madam Speaker, it is a new day, and this means a new approach to getting things done. In my humble opinion, things have not been moving quick enough. I'm used to saying, do this, and most times it's done. Now, don't get me wrong, there has been a tremendous amount of work done, but there was just so much that needed to be fixed. So many issues that were never addressed by the previous administration that there is so much catching up to do. But Madam Speaker, we've been doing things differently with innovation and a laser-focused approach to getting the job done. And Madam Speaker, this Davis Cooper administration was built for this. We know how to get things done. Madam Speaker, like I've said on numerous occasions, before I became Minister for Grand Bahama, it appeared as though the ministry was a ministry of administration. Madam Speaker, I'm a project manager who focuses on results, getting stuff done, making it happen. And I'm also an individual committed to helping people. It comes naturally. This, coupled with the fact that I believe in innovative approaches to making things happen, means we are prepared to simply get the job done. Madam Speaker, this Davis Cooper administration is all for that. This is what we do. This is how we've been administering this country. The member for Elizabeth will let you know that we've been building homes for Bahamians since home ownership should be a basic human right. We've been regularizing the public service, giving public servants what they are owed, creating a dynamic framework to revolutionize the public service, right, member for Golden Gates? We've been showing up on the world stage representing the Bahamas as the greatest little country in the world, bringing a voice to issues that affect us. We've been working hard, but working smart to bring sexy back to agriculture. And we're winning by accelerating investments in the agricultural sector to improve food security and create more opportunities for Bahamians. Right, member for Central and South Eleuthera? We've relaunched our Sports in Paradise initiative to diversify our tourism product and have created revolutionary models for youth development. Thank you to the member for Garden Hills. The member for Tall Pines will also tell you that we've been getting a handle on the state of healthcare in our nation, equipping the Family Islands and getting ready to break ground for a new hospital with an oncology center in Grand Bahama. And again, on Grand Bahama, we've been making things happen. The selection of a buyer for Grand Ukayan, the Carnival Cruise Port groundbreaking, the RFP for a PPP on the new world-class airport development, and repairs to the existing structure are in motion. Thank you to the member for the Exomas and Ragged Island. This administration is about action, not talk. We are about results, not theatrics. And so today, I am pleased to announce the Recover Grand Bahama program, a holistic approach to bringing all players together to provide relief to those who have needed to have it for at least 2.5 years. This program, Madam Speaker, will be threefold and a collaboration spearheaded by the Ministry for Grand Bahamas, New Unit, CoLab, Partnerships for Development. I'll tell you a bit more about that as I dive deeper into my contribution this morning. But I want to make the point that we are addressing the matter head on because it is about our people. Madam Speaker, If there's one word used to describe the island of Grand Bahama and its people, it would be resilient. We are resilient because in spite of the series of devastating natural disasters, we get up. We are resilient because in the midst of the storm, we know that God's got us. The Ministry for Grand Bahama has taken a strategic approach to addressing the challenges that Grand Bahama has consistently faced by creating a master plan that is focused on resiliency. It's focused on climate change. It's focused on tapping into grant opportunities as a model island for the vulnerabilities of climate change. We focus on mitigation, disaster preparedness, and management. This is why visits by the Caribbean Development Bank and the Inter-American Development Bank was our focus. I want Grand Bahama to become the center of resilience for the region. What better place than one who has experienced it all? What better place than one so perfectly located with transshipment and logistics capabilities for just-in-time movement of supplies in order to mobilize quickly after a disaster? What better place to serve to develop an environmental data framework for the region? Pine Ridge, Madam Speaker, have you heard about Pine Ridge? Pine Ridge is on the move. Since my last communication to the House, Team Pine Ridge has continued to focus on engaging with residents to assist with meeting their basic needs, finding employment, and providing support for entrepreneurs while utilizing every available resource to ensure that our communities are safe. This is why Budget 2022 resonates strongly with Pine Ridge. The member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador said it best in his budget contribution. Bahamians deserve compassion and support as families struggle to weather not one, but several overlapping crises. Madam Speaker, permit me to give you a quick update on Pine Ridge. In April, Team Pine Ridge celebrated Easter with the children at our fun-filled extravaganza Easter hunt. I was pleased to surprise Pine Ridge resident Mrs. Cleomi Mobley with a birthday cake in celebration of her 81st birthday. Mrs. Mobley is the longest living breast cancer survivor on Grand Bahama Island, and I thought it fitting that I honor her on her special day. Madam Speaker, in May, we honored some of the beautiful mothers of Pine Ridge at Mother's Day brunch at the Pelican Bay Hotel. In keeping with my 10-point agenda for Pine Ridge, we hosted our first job readiness seminar to assist Pine Ridge residents with resume preparation, completing job applications, interview skills, grooming, and dress code and work ethics. The informative session was conducted by certified corporate trainer Deborah Pat. We were honored with a surprise visit from Deputy to the Governor General and former Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Mother Pratt, who spoke words of encouragement to the attendees. Plans are underway to host the second Pine Ridge Job Readiness Seminar in October. Our third Pine Ridge Constituency Entrepreneurs Creating Opportunities Seminar and our Healthy Lifestyle Series was planned later this month, and residents are encouraged to continue to follow our social media pages for the announcement of the new dates and times. I was pleased that plans are underway to provide free Wi-Fi on the C.A. Smith Park in the Pine Ridge constituency as a pilot project, and other parks will follow. This will allow students in the surrounding neighborhood to have access to the internet to complete homework assignments. And stay tuned for an announcement and details on our newest project, Pine Ridge on Wheels, in the weeks ahead, where we continue to serve the residents of Pine Ridge, not just from our office that is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., but also by coming to them when the need arises. It is our commitment to continue to provide empowering opportunities for the growth and development of the residents of Pine Ridge. Madam Speaker, notable Pine Ridge native boxing sensation Sherman the Tank Williams from the community of Garden Villas and Team Pine Ridge will launch our youth mentorship program to reach our young people and host young boxing program and boxing tournament in July 2022. Madam Speaker, we are on the ground in touch with the people of Pine Ridge, and we are passionate about our agenda for Pine Ridge and have actively engaged in inspiring hope, enabling opportunities, and delivering results. Routinely, we deliver birthday and sympathy personal acknowledgements, as I believe in the personal touch. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Theodore Roosevelt. We also have a place for Pine Ridge on our very own hurricane safety team. This team will assist as much as possible the elderly and disabled in need before, during, and after hurricanes and in emergencies and disasters. We remain accessible to the people, and like I said, we have a fully functioning constituency office open from 9 to 5 year-round to help with needs for Pine Ridge and Grand Bahama. We are committed to remaining visible in the community and to leave no stone unturned as we recover, rebuild, and revolutionize Pine Ridge and Grand Bahama. This month, in honor of Father's Day, we will be celebrating some of Pine Ridge fathers. Team Pine Ridge will be hosting a Father's Day brunch and celebratory events. Our team has launched a breakfast in bed feeding program. 2 weeks ago, we fed over 600 persons. This Saturday, June 11th, we will feed over 1,000 persons throughout the Pine Ridge constituency. Yes, Pine Ridge, you are on our minds, and we will continue to show we care. We are focused on empowerment, entrepreneurship, personal and career development, as we believe that an empowered Pine Ridge is a Pine Ridge committed to working towards a better Grand Bahama and nation for us all. We have established a partnership with BTVI and the University of the Bahamas to enroll our youth in programs with full scholarships to prepare them for successful careers. Also in Pine Ridge, our Ginger Youths movement is very active. The youth and young people are being taught social responsibility and are involved in visiting and assisting the elderly. They provide snack packs for kids and help with tutoring, much like a Big Brother, Big Sister program. And finally, Pine Ridge, your marching band will be launched this summer as I work with a member of Marathon to spread the love with the music and the young people of the communities. Thank you, Madam, for the wonderful work that you do. Madam Speaker, with your leave, a shout out to Pine Ridge. Thank you for your continued support. I hear you. You matter. Your needs and concerns matter. And I assure you that I am working for you and Grand Bahama, and better days are here. Madam Speaker, when this Davis Cooper administration was elected on September 16th, we came to office armed and ready with the roadmap that would bring relief and lead the Bahamian people out of the worst economic crisis that this country had ever faced. with our blueprint for change. Budget 2022 holds firm to the commitments this administration made to the Bahamian people in the speech from the throne. And as stated by the member of Cat Island, Rumpke, and San Salvador during his budget communication, many of the key priorities outlined in that landmark speech have been successfully implemented by this administration in less than a year, and the key priorities set out in Budget 2022 will keep this government on the path to achieving more of its goals. And as minister responsible for measuring our progress, I will let you know that we are doing exceptionally well in achieving the objectives of our blueprint for change. Madam Speaker, there's still so much work to be done, and we need every resource available to complete the task ahead. The Ministry for Grand Bahama is focused on creating partnerships that will move the island forward beyond recovery. We are the Ministry of Innovation and Collaboration, and we are on a mission to get results and action for the people. I once said that a new day is encapsulated by real assistance, real relief, and policies that would positively transform our country and positively impact Bahamians now. With Budget 2022, we are on track toward rescuing the economy and creating a better life for the Bahamian people. Madam Speaker, I would like to turn to Head 74 in the 2022-23 budget communication, and that little 6-letter word that represents the greatest increase in the budget, and quite frankly, the second highest budget of the Ministry for Grand Bahama since its existence. Madam Speaker, who hasn't heard about CoLab? The Prime Minister, in his wisdom, gave the Ministry for Grand Bahama a new mandate considering the ever-perplexing issues, the uniqueness of Grand Bahama, and the devastation caused by the twin storms, Hurricane Dorian and the pandemic for our island. The mandate reads, partner with NGOs, businesses, other government agencies, and the community at large to assist with the basic needs of residents and for the growth and development of Grand Bahama Island. Doesn't this just say it all? It recognizes that people are hurting, that people's lives have been uprooted, that they need assistance, that the NGOs are very important in all of this because they are the ones who came to our rescue when we needed help the most. It recognized the role of the corporate community and the fact that the ministry is a ministry that liaises with other ministries to get the job done. And it speaks to what Grand Bahama needs: investment, opportunities, growth, and business development. Based on this mandate, I established CoLab, Partnerships for Development, that really is the key to making things happen for Grand Bahama Island. A unit where we work on projects together to propel our people and communities. A body that solves problems, addresses issues, tackles the difficulties head on with focus, determination, and execution for results. We are all about action. CoLab's primary goal is to ensure that the vision of the Ministry for Grand Bahama to become the home of maritime and logistics, the home of events and entertainment, and the home of innovation comes to fruition. This requires a focused strategic agenda and partnerships, both locally and internationally, to ensure that the basic needs of residents are addressed and for the further development of our island. In this vein, the new unit, CoLab, Partnerships for Development, represents the most significant increase in the 2023 budget with a new line item of $3.7 million. So let me tell you, first of all, how very proud I am and excited I am to be heralding in this innovative, transformational, revolutionary way to define the Ministry for Grand Bahama in this new day. It cannot be overemphasized that since the Ministry for Grand Bahama was a new ministry and government services already existed on Grand Bahama, I believe that there was always a challenge in defining the role of the ministry. And as I have said before, when 43% of the budget went to utilities and for the other ministries, and 82% of the budget went to administrative costs, you can see why this perception was widely accepted. Today, this Ministry for Grand Bahama, my Ministry for Grand Bahama, is a ministry of innovation and collaboration. Whilst the CoLab unit was provided $3.7 million, representing 27.6% of the overall budget, there's an additional $170,000 for sister city relationship development that I will explain further, $240,000 for marketing and promotion because we will be promoting Grand Bahama Island around the world, $210,000 for small business development, another $150,000 for grant funding development, and $50,000 for the Grand Bahama Humane Society. All of this totaling $4.5 million or 34% of the overall budget. Not bad for my first attempt to bring impactful change to the ministry and to the Grand Bahama Island. A few examples of projects that will fall under CoLab include Recover Grand Bahama, Beautiful Grand Bahama, and Empower Grand Bahama. There will be one major event every year that will bring visitors to our shores. We will be tapping into climate change grant opportunities, developing local and international relationships for community development, and engaging in event partnership as we develop an exciting calendar of events for Grand Bahama. And Grand Bahama, we are going to get the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, to work for you also. Like I say to others, we do exist. So expect to see some approvals coming our way. Madam Speaker, it is important to establish that the $3.4 million allocated for CoLab is not what is going to be the major player in making things happen. It is all about relationship building, partnerships for development, and collaboration. As I've always seen it, collaboration is the new currency. CoLab will build the infrastructure to tap into other sources of funding, including in-kind participation with partners, grant funding for innovation, climate change, resiliency, and master plan development, securing sister city benefits through memberships, partnering on community development initiatives with local and international NGOs, and becoming the model for partnership development for the region. A wonderful representation of the work of CoLab is addressing the issue of casual labor on Grand Bahama Island. You would have heard the Prime Minister speaking about his appreciation for the work done by the Freeport Container Port to address the long outstanding casual labor situation last week in his communication. The Prime Minister and I would have met with Container Port executives in January of this year and expressed our great concern over the casual labor issue and shared stories of what it means to that person and their families. We advocated for the industrial sector to rebalance the ratio of full-time employees and casual labor. We wanted to see increased job security, access to creditable financing, and benefits for the workers. We believe that there had to be a way to allow our men and women to work with more dignity, where they could actually take a job letter to the bank for a loan, where they could receive benefits, where they could be seen as full-time employees. And Madam Speaker, so said, so done. Immediately following the meeting, the Container Port executives paid a follow-up visit to me and went straight to work to strategize on how to address this issue. They also expressed their interest in partnering with CoLab on one of our projects called Restoration Village. This is what you call a true collaboration with compassionate leadership in action. In April 2022, the Freeport Container Port had 57% full-time employees and 43% casual or temporary labor. Today, it has 75% full-time employees and 25% casual or temporary labor. And the goal is to transition to 85% full-time employees by the end of the third quarter of 2023. The Freeport Container Port has created a new operating model through the rollout of terminal operator contracts. It has improved team buy-in due to higher take-home pay, increased job security, and benefits including access to creditable financing. Freeport Container Port seeks to set the standard in the industry under the leadership and guidance of the government of the Bahamas. This is what you call true collaboration. As said by the member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, the Freeport Container Port should be recognized for making the deliberate effort to bring change to not only their organization, but a change that will impact the lives of 107 families on Grand Bahama Island where they can live a bit better. Hats off to the Freeport Container Port, and we hope that others will follow in their footsteps. Madam Speaker, the member for Central and South Eleuthera will tell you that it's the family island time. And indeed it is. There has never been a time and never been a budget that pays real strategic attention to the needs of the family islands. Never. In our blueprint for change, we promise to commit to a strategic plan for each island because, of course, the Bahamas is not just Nassau. We committed to ensuring that the critical needs of the islands are given priority within the scope of the country's other obligations, and that the vision for each island and its immediate benefits will be used to determine how projects are prioritized. Madam Speaker, I'm so happy in this new day to say how very pleased I am that this Davis Cooper administration made the Family Islanders proud with the historical introduction of the Family Island Infrastructure Fund. I am also even more happy that Grand Bahama Island will be tapping into this $200 million fund in the first instance for development of some of our capital works projects. In our Blueprint for Change, we pledge to unlock the potential within our family islands to drive overall economic growth and agree to support the development of sister city relationships for business, tourism, cultural, educational, and humanitarian exchanges. These partner relationships, especially in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, have proven beneficial to our communities as demonstrated by the sister city relationship between Grand Bahama and Concord and Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where nonprofit agencies mobilized quickly to bring immediate relief to the residents. Sister Cities International is an organization founded in 1955 by former United States President Dwight Eisenhower, which was designed to build relationships by connecting cities across the world. The purpose of the organization is to promote peace through people-to-people relationships, with program offerings varying greatly from business development to cultural exchange programs to research and development projects between cities with relationships. A sister city relationship is a broad-based long-term partnership between two communities, which include community involvement with volunteers who forge mutually beneficial partnerships to share ideas and projects in business, cultural, tourism, educational, and humanitarian initiatives. President of the United States, Joe Biden, currently serves as the honorary chair of Sister Cities International. And Sister Cities is not new to the Bahamas, as I was appointed the Bahamas and Caribbean representative in 2017 and subsequently elected to serve on the board of directors in 2018. There are currently 8 sister city relationships: Cat Island and Richton Park, Illinois; Freeport, Grand Bahama and Concord, North Carolina; Freeport, Grand Bahama and Winston-Salem, North Carolina; Grand Bahama Island and Newark, New Jersey; Grand Bahama and Albany, New York; Georgetown, Great Exuma and St. Augustine, Florida; Nassau, New Providence, and Winston-Salem, North Carolina; and the Bahamas and Miami-Dade County, Florida. We are currently in the process of establishing relationships with Exuma and Nashville, Tennessee, Grand Bahama and Hunan Province, China, and Pokeshu, Princestown, Western Ghana, and the Bahamas. These relationships, among other things, foster shared cultural experiences, business opportunities, nonprofit partnerships, and engage people-to-people exchanges. There is an allocation in this 2022-23 budget of $170,000 for the development of sister city relationship for islands of the Bahamas under budget head 74 for each island, which would include global memberships, participation by island representative in sister city conferences, hosting of related community meetings and events, etc. Bahamas Sister Cities will be managed under the CoLab unit of the Ministry for Grand Bahama, and with the existing knowledge of and working relationship with Sister Cities International, I will steer the linkages, set up and develop the initiatives countrywide in conjunction with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister for Family Island Affairs with the relevant Family Island representatives. This is important as we bring greater synergies to Grand Bahama Island and utilize it as a base for international conferences, workshops, festivals, and other activities as the home of events and entertainment. Madam Speaker, in my midterm budget communication, I highlighted the fact that this Minister for Grand Bahama is working day and night for the people. And I see the promotion of Grand Bahama Island as key in moving our island forward. As I've said on countless occasions, Grand Bahama is going to be around the tables that matter. And if the Ministry for Grand Bahama is mandated to revitalize and promote Grand Bahama as a tourism and industrial center, then we should and will have our own promotional material to promote Grand Bahama Island to the world. Madam Speaker, in the upcoming 2022-23 budget, you will see a rebranded Grand Bahama Island in partnership with the Ministry of Tourism, Investments, and Aviation, a marketing strategy of this administration that promotes the entire island of Grand Bahama from east to west. In conjunction with the member for the Exomus and Ragged Island, you will soon see new tourism promotional material promoting the things to do on Grand Bahama Island, because we have been intentional about changing the perception that there is nothing to do on Grand Bahama. Quite to the contrary, there are so many untapped things to do off the beaten path that only needs to be featured while we create new experiences to support the island's projected growth. We will get the message out. And finding out what we have, the hidden gems, is only the first step. The next is to enhance what currently exists and to create new tourism products throughout our Orange Economy tourism product development micro-grant program called Empower Grand Bahama. Madam Speaker, this budget is for the people. It's a budget that is really for the people. It's for everyone. So many people ask, what is the orange economy? What types of opportunities are in the orange economy? My answer is normally, it represents creativity, authentic experiences, your own creation, making money from what you love to do, and having a job that feels like a hobby. The orange economy, also known as the creative industry, is made up of our musicians, our artists, cultural enthusiasts, junkaneurs, our chefs, graphic and visual designers, photographers, rake and scrapers, and the list goes on. I see Grand Bahama as the fastest growing island for the orange economy, and a place where creatives thrive, a place where creatives want to live and raise their families. Because since Grand Bahama will become the home of events and entertainment, this is the place where creatives can really live the grand life. Madam Speaker, at the Ministry for Grand Bahama, we are very strategic about the projects we take on. Nothing is done willy-nilly. This is highlighted in our focus for touristic product development and grant funding for those in the orange economy creative industry. Madam Speaker, this is because these are the ones who, if provided with the opportunity in micro grants, can totally transform their lives once assisted by a program that is designed to empower them within tourism clusters. And tourism clusters would be the sites that the government identifies to partner with stakeholders to cause greater chance for success. An example of a cluster would be Miss Jenny selling soups, all types of Bahamian soups, in the authentically designed booth. Miss Burrows produces her spectacularly designed, handcrafted, straw-framed art. Miss Dolores making her Bahamian cakes from Benny cake to guava duff to flour cake to coconut jimmy. Purple doing what Purple does, his world famous conch salad. Kenneth producing the gully wash, also known in Nassau as sky juice, but we call it gully wash. And Curry producing the Junkanoo dolls. They are all located at the Arts and Craft Center with Junkanoo, rake and scrape, and other forms of Bahamian cultural expressions. That right there is what you call a tourism cluster that guests will come to for that experience. We are developing these throughout the island of Grand Bahama. When the member for the Exumas and Ragged Island and I met with cruise line executives in February of this year, there was a broad discussion on having more cruise calls for Grand Bahama Island and the need to further develop our product offerings. For me, community-based tourism is the most important and immersive form of tourism, as it provides authentic experiences, the kind that visitors are really looking for. And this is what we've set out to do. We are developing clusters of entrepreneurs, creatives, tourism product providers at various sites to create the ultimate authentic tourism experiences that can improve our offerings and impact the lives of our people. This includes vendor opportunities at the Grand Bahama Arts and Crafts Center, vendor opportunities at the Hawksbill Heritage Park, vendor opportunities at the Fishing Hole Cultural Village, enhanced vendor opportunities and conditions at the Farmers Market downtown with entertainment, enhanced beach access in the Port Lucaya area, supporting the Smiths Point Fish Fry experience, supporting vendor opportunities with Maxi Sea and Land Adventures, developing a year-round experience at the Pelican Point
Honorable
Coconut
member.
Site.
1 minute. Stop the clock.
The honorable member for Pine, which could continue.
Developing a year-round experience at the Pelican Point Coconut Site and the McLeanstown Conch Cracking Site, and new experiences at Pindus Point Lighthouse, Mermaid Pond, and the BAIC office that will be opening in 8 Mile Rock to allow my hometown, to allow greater access for the people in that community. And of course, 8 Mile Rock Fish Fry will be totally revamped. Last but not least, we are creating the ultimate Caribbean marketplace with all islands of the Bahamas represented as we develop the gateway to the Caribbean and utilize Grand Bahama as the base for festivals, events, international conferences, competitions, etc., the place where the creative industry thrives. Madam Speaker, we've been doing a lot on Grand Bahama Island. As I previously stated, the Ministry for Grand Bahama is a ministry of innovation and collaboration. And we welcome collaborations with other ministries that support our Bahamian culture, provide opportunities, or meet the needs of the people of Grand Bahama. In support of the return of junk canoe on Grand Bahama, my ministry supported the Grand Bahama junk canoe groups who recently participated in the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture's virtual junk canoe performance by matching the grant provided by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture of $5,000 for A groups and $2,500 for B groups. The additional funds were given to assist the groups with their preparation for the performance. Hurricane Dorian severely damaged and in some cases totally destroyed the shacks, the junk canoe groups on Grand Bahama. And for this reason, my ministry was happy to assist the groups who had not performed on a parade route for over 2 years. The member for Garden Hills should be applauded for the stellar work that he is doing in the area of youth, sports, and culture. The Ministry for Grand Bahama also supported the Ministry of Labor and Immigration, Department of Labor, Labor on the Blocks 2.0 job fair in Freeport last month. My ministry understands the urgent need to get unemployed residents working again, to earn a living so that they are able to meet their basic needs. One of the mandates of my ministry is the promotion of employment and entrepreneurial opportunities in Grand Bahama. And so I would have it no other way than to be there in person to greet the job seekers as they entered and to make them as comfortable as possible as they were being processed. Hundreds of residents were in attendance, and the Ministry for Grand Bahama intends to partner with the Department of Labor on future initiatives. The member for Carmichael is to be congratulated on this initiative. I expect a status update within the next week to see how well we've progressed, how many have been hired, and how many are still seeking employment. For me, we can't do things just to do things. It has to be results-driven, action-focused to impact lives. Following Labor on the Blocks 2.0, the Ministry for Grand Bahama continued to keep its focus on employment opportunities on Grand Bahama. My ministry hosted the Innovate Grand Bahama 6th Grand Bahama High School Career Fair under the theme, Bridging the Gap Between Today's Youth and Tomorrow's Opportunities. The focus of the initiative was to expose high school students to the major industrial and technical organizations on Grand Bahama, and to give the various industries an opportunity to introduce their products and services to the younger generation preparing to enter the job market. The Ministry for Grand Bahama worked in conjunction with the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training to host the one-day event which was held in the Convention Center of the Grand Lucaine Resort. And I was so pleased to have the member for Yamacraw there with me to encourage the excited students. 23 companies and 14 schools participated in the initiative, and over 900 students were in attendance. Madam Speaker, in March, the Ministry for Grand Bahama announced the Emergency Financial Relief Grant, which provided assistance to tourism-associated vendors. The Emergency Financial Relief was the result of a visit to the Port Ukiah Marketplace by the member for the Exumas and Ragged Island and Minister for Tourism, Investments and Aviation and I back in March. During the visit, the vendors expressed their concerns about several issues, including their loss of revenue due to Dorian and the pandemic, and their difficulty earning an income due to low number tourists who visited the marketplace. As a result, this New Day administration quickly approved the distribution of $500 grants to tourist associated vendors on Grand Bahama to bring some relief by assisting with the restocking of their inventory. 310 vendors applied and received payments in the amount of $500. Again, one of the mandates of my ministry is to liaise with other ministries. This means that we work in collaboration, in partnership to get the job done. This allows us to more efficiently mobilize resources and successfully execute tasks and reach objectives. My ministry will continue to engage other ministries to enhance government services on Grand Bahama Island. Again, we are a ministry of innovation and collaboration. And to address the low tourist numbers in the Port Lucaya marketplace, and I'm pretty sure that's a repeat, so I'm not saying it. Deputy Speaker, this was the beginning of a 3-month initiative called Port Lucaya Experience, aimed at attracting visitors to the marketplace during the day to enjoy entertainment featuring Bahamian music, junk canoe, and food and more. Madam Deputy Speaker, in my mid-year budget presentation, I announced the Empower Grand Bahama Grant, a $5,000 grant program focused on creative entrepreneurs in the orange economy. Today, we are now distributing applications, so you can check us on all social media platforms or stop by the offices of the Ministry for Grand Bahama. Deputy Speaker, during the months of July and August, the Ministry for Grand Bahama will run its Summer Youth Employment Program. The first cycle will run for 4 weeks in July, and the second cycle another 4 weeks in August. The program will assist high school and college students on Grand Bahama with obtaining summer jobs and earning an income during their summer break. Applications were distributed at the Ministry for Grand Bahama. And as in everything done by this New Day administration for Grand Bahama, this year's program will be innovative. There will be a training element in conjunction with the University of the Bahamas North called How Government Works. In fact, I believe that many of us today need to take this course because there is certainly a disconnect with the role of government, the role of members of parliament, the role of cabinet ministers, etc. in our country. Civics 101 is a must. And I am hoping that our revered members of Engliston and Yambacraw will introduce this subject in the school system. I am excited to announce that plans are in the works for the development of Maritime 101 in collaboration with LNet Maritime Center. The course will be free and available to all high school students on Grand Bahama and to students in grades 10 through 12. With Grand Bahama as the home of maritime and logistics, now is the opportune time to introduce our young people to the world of maritime and the blue economy in preparation for the future. The target launch of the program is September 2022. The Ministry for Grand Bahama will announce more details about the program in the coming months. Madam Deputy Speaker, have you heard about beautiful Grand Bahama? This holistic program is transforming lives. It's giving hope to the hopeless, giving a hand up instead of a handout, and revitalizing communities as it progresses. It addresses long outstanding community nuisances and have many of our young men making an honest living. Under the Ministry for Grand Bahama's beautiful Grand Bahama, 350 persons were hired and have been assigned to various projects identified by the ministry as priority community projects. This involves demolition, cleanup, beautification, and creation of enhancement of touristic sites from east to west. Deputy Speaker, this 12-week program is scheduled to come to an end June 30th. And we are hoping that many of the individuals can transition into other areas. There is something very special about this program, Deputy Speaker. Those ladies in the communities where the projects are being executed are making money by providing hot meals. Those that couldn't get a job because of a criminal record, because of a joint, are on the job, side by side with those considered their rivals. Those that were born here, married to a Bahamian, and went to primary school with me, but are not considered Bahamian and can't get another job because of it, is now, although temporarily, earning a living. Deputy Speaker, the goal of this program is to transform lives, one person at a time, and to transform communities, one project at a time. In my opinion, this program should be extended. We know that many of these individuals will transition to other areas. We know that many of the minor offenses can potentially be expunged as promised in our Blueprint for Change. We know that those who were born in the Bahamas, living here their entire life, all they know is Bahamian, and live day by day as stateless, is not the way to build a community and empower our people. We know that some people simply need assistance with job readiness, developing their resumes, a connection to opportunities, and this is what this program does. Beautiful Grand Bahama, like I said, is transforming lives. Madam Speaker, on the 19th of May, my team met with the East Grand Bahama Local Government District Council, where we spoke candidly about the many concerns faced and what the residents of East Grand Bahama wish to see rectified. The Ministry for Grand Bahama is working closely with the East Grand Bahama Local Government District Council to effect change to residents in East Grand Bahama and target the change they wish to see and not what we think they want. In East Grand Bahama, in conjunction with CoLab, our beautiful Grand Bahama initiative has accomplished restoration of Freetown beach access, restoration of the Coconut Festival site and restroom facilities in Pelican Point, removal of cars and trees from McLeanstown waterway since Hurricane Dorian, refurbishment and beautification of the Pelican Point Cemetery wall, tomb relocation at the Emmanuel Baptist Church. And this is a story where two of its former pastors are laid to rest, the late Pastor Joseph Pinder and the late Pastor Bertram Davis. Cries fell on deaf ears, according to the residents, for nearly 2.5 years since the passage of Hurricane Dorian. However, under this administration, the Ministry for Grand Bahama heard the cries and helped to bring closure by relocating the tomb, a visible reminder of the devastation of Hurricane Dorian. We have identified other projects to be completed, including installation of 65 additional street lights in designated East Grand Bahama communities, debris removal in McLeanstown, High Rock, and Pelican Point. Under the new unit of the Ministry for Grand Bahama CoLab, we are establishing a document recovery task force that will address issues of lost documents post-Hurricane Dorian that still exist today. Installation of Gold Rock Creek ramp and new temporary modular administration complex in East Grand Bahama to address the residents' immediate concerns of lack of government presence in East Grand Bahama. Local government in East Grand Bahama is now in Freeport, and the local government practitioners rightfully wanted to be in East Grand Bahama. In West Grand Bahama, the team conducted a cleanup and debris removal of the West Grand Bahama motor corridor, along with a beautification project which is underway. Repairs and repainting of the 8 Mile Rock Cemetery wall and the installation of solar lights project is ongoing. And a cleanup of the ground surrounding the 8 Mile Rock High School gymnasium, which is often used as a hurricane shelter for the community. In the center of Grand Bahama, the team conducted the cleaning and gutting of the existing structures in Restoration Village 1, located in Tripp Circle. Restoration Village is the future site of halfway homes for displaced families and exterior building refurbishments, which are presently underway. Vegetation, debris cleanup, and removal on Peel Street, the future site of a touristic attraction of the Royal Bahamas Police Force Cultural and Historic Center. The gutting and cleaning of existing structures, refurbishments of the exterior of the buildings will begin shortly. In the Hawksville community, cleanup and debris removal, wall repair and refurbishment, landscaping, and tree planting exercise was completed at the entrance of the hospital community. The installation of new signage will be completed shortly, and plans to build a community tourism center and vendor center for enterprising residents to become entrepreneurs are underway, with a goal of creating a tourism attraction with an authentic Bahamian experience. A cleanup and vegetation debris removal was completed at the Lewis Yard School in Central Grand Bahama, where the dilapidated government-owned facility had become an eyesore within the local community and a habitat for vagrants. The existing structures were cleaned and gutted. The team also completed cleanup and removal of vegetation, debris, and at the site of the historic Mermaid Pond in Lewis Yard, a community tourism attraction known for its rich history filled with short stories and tales of mermaid sightings. Debris was also removed from the water, and the installation of signs and the construction of concrete benches will begin shortly. Other cleanup campaigns were executed at the Home Away Senior Citizens Home, Grand Bahama Sports Complex, Sir Jack Haywood Junior High School, and the Grand Bahama Memorial Park Highway. Pardon? No, exactly. All areas. Exactly. No, nothing. Not even a. Not. Thank you. Thank you, Central. Thank you. My God. And several other projects are scheduled to begin this month. So yes, it's the entire island, a holistic approach. Madam Speaker, we are doing this because Grand Bahama is beautiful in every sense of the imagination. I see Grand Bahama that is associated with beauty. Our people, the things we do, the communities we live in, the pride we take in our surroundings, and how we aim to spread the love. Beautiful Grand Bahama is a model for a case study. So this is a pitch for graduate students to take it on to measure impact in a more scientific way. I believe that it is a model that can be used throughout the entire country. So, Madam Speaker, with your leave, I would like to invite the corporate community, NGOs, both local and international, other government agencies, and the community at large to come on board and work with us as we aim to continue projects like Beautiful Grand Bahama and others through collaboration. Deputy Speaker, as you can see, the Ministry for Grand Bahama has been busy. When we came to office, we were fully aware and focused on the issues facing the people and economy of Grand Bahama. This New Day administration understood that we needed to swiftly address those issues and find resolutions to remove some of the obstacles that hindered the island's progression toward recovery. The sale of Grand Lucayan expediting the groundbreaking for the Carnival Cruise Port, the redevelopment of the Grand Bahama International Airport, and new hospital were among the top priorities. And the people of Grand Bahama wanted less talk and more action. Madam Speaker, this Davis Cooper administration acted swiftly and cautiously, and as a result of the diligent work done by the Board of Lucayan Renewal Holdings Limited, the special purpose vehicle that owns the Grand Lucayan Resort on behalf of the Bahamian people, a world-class buyer was secured for the sale of the hotel. And as stated by the member for the Exomas and Ragged Island during his communication to Parliament, the government has accepted the $100 million purchase offer from Electra America Hospitality Group for the Grand Lucayan Resort. In Electra, the people of Grand Bahama will welcome a corporate partner with a clear vision for the beloved property, significant financial resources, a shared vision for tourism development on our island, with an understanding of its social responsibility to the environment and the community. Electra has committed to invest an additional $300 million to renovate and rebuild the resort. The project will create approximately 2,000 construction jobs, 1,000 permanent jobs, add 3 luxury brands with 4 to 5-star amenities, world-class golf, casino and marina operations, a convention center, amphitheater, and magnificent restaurants to the island's hospitality sector. The project will utilize the talents of Bahamian musicians, visual artists, and other local artists, with spillover effects to businesses and vendors in the Port Lucaia marketplace. Electra's plans to transform the Grand Lucayan property will make Grand Bahama one of the most sought-after premier destinations in the Caribbean. With the recent signing of the sale of Grand Lucayan Resort to Electra America, my ministry is focused on preparing the people of Grand Bahama for the opportunities that are on the horizon, while transforming the Grand Lucayan into an environmentally sustainable luxury resort. Electra will contribute to the development of the community through its $5 million contribution to the Ministry for Grand Bahamas Collab Unit. Electra America Hospitality has also agreed as a grand corporate citizen to donate the furniture from the resort to the people in the Grand Bahama community. This will be done in an organized, orderly manner, and an announcement will be made when the process begins. Deputy Speaker, the month of May was filled with big wins for Grand Bahama. The announcement of the sale of Grand Lucayan Resort was followed by the groundbreaking of Carnival Cruise Port facility. The new cruise port, the largest of its kind in the history of the Bahamas, forecasted to open in late 2024. And in keeping with Carnival's reputation of excellence in the cruise industry, the new facility will be innovative, dynamic, and will give Carnival guests an unforgettable experience, showcasing the beauty of Grand Bahama and our richness in Bahamian culture and heritage. Deputy Speaker, the new cruise port will have a capacity to accommodate the largest class of vessels in the world, bringing an exponential increase in cruise arrivals to Grand Bahama Island. Upon completion, it is forecasted that 1 million cruise passengers will annually disembark on the shores of Grand Bahama. The sale of Grand Lucayan and the development of the Carnival Cruise Port project will stimulate our island's economy. Upon completion, these projects will pique the interest of travelers from around the world to visit Grand Bahama, provide stable employment, and empower Bahamians through the numerous entrepreneurial opportunities that will be created. Carnival Cruise Lines will embark on community engagement workshops in collaboration with the Ministry for Grand Bahama before the end of July 2022. Madam Speaker, we are pleased to herald the startup of Bahamas Air's new direct service. Bahamas Air will service Orlando to Grand Bahama beginning June 30th, my birthday. And launching another direct service from Charlotte, North Carolina to Grand Bahama starting in November. We are excited about the increasing airlift to and from Grand Bahama. Madam Speaker, in a meeting yesterday that included the member for the Exumas and Ragged Island, our AG, and member from MyCal, I was reminded that Grand Bahama is not only the home of maritime for the Bahamas, but also the maritime capital of the Americas. At the Carnival groundbreaking almost 1 month ago, an agreement was signed to build 2 new dry docks at the Grand Bahama Shipyard, which should be operational towards the end of 2024 and 2025. These are expected to be the largest floating dry docks ever built and help to ensure a brighter future for Grand Bahama, creating jobs for Bahamians. As of yesterday, This investment is expected to be over $500 million. With the Grand Bahama Shipyard's expansion of their operations, Grand Bahama is about to see an economic resurgence like never before. You see, we are talking about an ecosystem of opportunities surrounding this development, spin-off businesses, feeders of this industry, and it is truly a grand time for Grand Bahama. And these are the types of organizations that we will partner with to promote additional opportunities for investment. Prior to Hurricane Dorian, the shipyard was listed as the world's #1 shipyard. Yes, our shipyard, the Grand Bahama Shipyard, was listed as #1 in the world. And in just a few more months, we'll be #1 again. Madam Deputy Speaker, in our blueprint for change, we committed to the redevelopment of the Grand Bahama International Airport. In this administration's overall plan for airports throughout the country, Grand Bahama International Airport is deemed priority #1. We have received great interest in a PPP through the RFP process recently held by the Airport Authority for the development of a world-class airport. But while we are in the process of the redevelopment of this new airport, generators are on the ground and are in the process of being installed. The new elevator for the control tower has been ordered and takes some time to be built. And so that is about 24 months away from arriving on Grand Bahama Island. And funds have been allocated for provisional repairs that are underway. The redevelopment of the airport will bring an end to an issue that has tormented the people of Grand Bahama for almost 3 years. The severe damage caused by Hurricane Dorian to the original airport is directly responsible for the sharp decrease in visitor air arrivals to the island and the loss of U.S. preclearance. The absence of a proper airport facility has impacted many businesses on the island, and in only 9 months since coming to office, this New Day administration is close to bringing a resolution to this issue, which was poorly handled by the previous administration. Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, again, one of the mandates of my ministry is to advance healthcare infrastructure, and in our blueprint for change, we committed to construction of a new hospital with an oncology center. I was extremely pleased to reiterate that budget 2022 included funding to capitalize the Grand Bahama Health Center Development Company, the entity which will construct the Grand Bahama Hospital. Finally, Grand Bahama will get a new hospital. Deputy Speaker, Grand Bahama has been in need of a new hospital for many years. In 2019, Hurricane Dorian devastated the Rand Memorial Hospital, and the situation was further compounded shortly thereafter by the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our doctors, nurses, and other medical providers were forced to work in unfavorable conditions. Today, Madam Speaker, even though repairs were done to the interior of the Rand Memorial Hospital, the roof was not repaired. With the recent potential tropical cyclone, one that visited Grand Bahama over the weekend, the Rand was also greatly impacted. This was another poorly executed assignment by the previous administration, but the work is included in this 2022-23 budget, and the Minister of Health and Wellness will speak more about it in his upcoming communication next week. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am delighted that this Davis Cooper administration will proceed with building a new hospital for Grand Bahama Island in this budget period. As announced by the member for Cat Island, Rumpke, and San Salvador during his budget communication, the construction of the new hospital will be facilitated through a loan for $150 million. And again, the member for Tall Pines will elaborate more on this in his upcoming communication. Deputy Speaker, the visit of the Caribbean Development Bank proved very beneficial to Grand Bahama Island, as we were able to illustrate the need to grant and other funding, the need for grant and other funding in some key areas for sustainable development. This includes rehabilitation of existing schools in East End and preparation of design for a climate resilient, multi-purpose school complex, including an emergency shelter. A grant for Grand Bahama community enhancement, livelihood enhancement in areas for East and West for capacity building and resiliency. A grant for climate resilience master plan for preparation of Grand Bahama climate resilience master planning exercise, and a grant for the creative industries development, Caribbean marketplace, and the creative industries. Deputy Speaker, we endorse and support collaboration and strategic alliances with global organizations and have been in active discussions with the Inter-American Development Bank. And we were pleased to welcome IDB country representative and CFO of IDB Invest. We were so thrilled to showcase our island with a working tour and gave firsthand an empirical review of our ongoing projects and shared our vision and strategic focus for Grand Bahama Island. We have discussed and are exploring possible synergies and linkages. We support a collaborative approach to climate change, implementation of scalable resilience infrastructure, promoting environment sustainability, economic growth, and we support IDB's core focus on social development and equity, building capacity, digitization of public and private sectors, enhancing public sector effectiveness. We are open to ongoing dialogue for possible linkages through partnership with IDB to reduce poverty and inequality, improve health and education, and advance infrastructure. The ministers with responsibility for social services and urban development, the member for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, and the member for Marathon love to say, spread the love. Well, I say, yes, let's spread the love so that we empower our people along the way. Spread the love where it's not just one set receiving. Spread the love so that our people get that hand up instead of that hand out. And we are spreading the love with beautiful Grand Bahama. We are also spreading the love with Empower Grand Bahama. And we will continue to spread the love with Recover Grand Bahama. We are spreading the love with regularizing our most critical resources, our people, the public service. We are spreading the love by building homes for Bahamians. And Madam and Deputy Speaker, with a Family Island Prime Minister, a Family Island Deputy Prime Minister, and a Family Island Minister of Family Island Affairs, we are definitely spreading the love to the Family Islands. Deputy Speaker, we are spreading the love because perhaps the first time in the history of the Bahamas, every cabinet minister in this honorable chamber has visited Grand Bahama Island to assist with moving our island forward. Deputy Speaker, as I get closer to the end, just some updates on a few matters of importance. In the second half of 2022, we will introduce new environmental bylaws for the city of Freeport. We will also improve the ease of doing business with some specific measuring low-hanging deliverables. A multi-purpose sports complex, indoor swimming facility, and a racket club shelter will be constructed at the Grand Bahama Sports Complex, and it will also be a staging ground for major events. And the member for Garden Hills, thank you for this. The road opening at West Atlantic Highway will happen. Plans are in motion. The Holmes Rock Junior High School is scheduled for a September 22 opening. The administration complex in 8 Mile Rock is expected to be completed at the end of this month. Plans are progressing for the relocation of the University of the Bahamas to the Kipling Building, downtown Freeport. Doctors Hospital, Kavala Medical Center, a primary care, dialysis, and full lab medical facility in my hometown, 8 Mile Rock, will open this month. And we will have NHI on site. The Doctors Hospital flagship on the Mall Drive, Freeport, is beginning demolition and in the process of equipment procurement for long lead items. It is scheduled to be open the first quarter of 2023. Solomon's is finalizing construction downtown and is already in the process of seeking employees. They will be opening their doors in a few short months. Plans for the Bahamas' 49th anniversary and independence celebrations are well on the way, and an exciting week of activities is being organized. We are so excited to have the return of Gombe Summer Festival every Thursday in July, beginning 7th of July at Tino Beach, Ukiah. The Grand Bahama Games will be held from the 4th through 9th of July 2022 at various locations on Grand Bahama Island. The 4th edition of the North American, Central American, and Caribbean Athletic Association, NACAC, Championship, the biggest to ever be held in Grand Bahama, is set for August 19th through 21st, 2022, at the Grand Bahama Sports Complex. All 31 member associations are expected to compete. In total, close to 500 athletes, coaches, and officials are expected to venture into Freeport, Grand Bahama, including our Bahamian elite athletes, for the region's signature event in athletics. This is an historic event, as this is the first time occurrence for the Bahamas, and the Bahamas is also the host nation of the home of the NACAC Secretariat. Grand Bahama is designated as the events and entertainment capital of the Bahamas, and this 3-day event is expected to create a number of room nights for hotels, and by extension, the local community will see a significant increase in business from it. Guests will not only participate in the sporting events, but will also get an authentic taste of true Bahamian culture through our unique displays of Bahamian talent, food, and entertainment. We believe that the success of this event will set the stage for future major world sporting events. We will bring back sports, but we have brought back sports in paradise. My Deputy Speaker, as I close, the budget is a coming home budget for the people, because our people can see themselves in it. They can see that it was crafted with them in mind, that this administration is all about the people. Yes. This budget is a budget of coming home to the Family Islands, with the focus given to Family Island development and unique opportunities to encourage Family Islanders to build their Airbnbs at home. This budget is a coming home to Grand Bahama budget, because it focuses on many long-outstanding issues facing our people, as well as the major new investments happening today. My clarion call to Grand Bahamians, to Family Islanders, to Bahamians everywhere is to come on home. Come on home to Grand Bahama, a Grand Bahama that is capable of easily accommodating a population of over 250,000. Come on home to Family Islands, where Bahamians investing in short-term rental property can purchase building material, furniture, and appliances duty-free. My clarion call is also for Bahamians abroad and the Bahamian diaspora to come on home. Grand Bahama is also poised to become Innovation City, as in our Blueprint for Change. This means that we are creating a new model for Grand Bahama, one that includes maritime and logistics, events and entertainment, but also innovation, because we want to pilot many of the revolutionary initiatives that will take place in our country, a place where the digital assets industry thrives, and Grand Bahama is the base for it, benefiting from the revolutionary market. In view of this, and in keeping with the mandates in our Blueprint for Change, I am pleased to announce the innovation competition in Innovation City, the home of innovation, Grand Bahama Island. This Davis Cooper administration committed to sponsoring an annual competition with a $50,000 cash prize for the best app developed by a Bahamian. Today, I am happy to say that this program will be piloted on Grand Bahama Island through the Ministry for Grand Bahama and launched in August 2022. Stay tuned for further announcements in the coming weeks. Deputy Speaker, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you to the Honorable Prime Minister for his inspirational, transformational leadership. Thank you, sir, for your heart, for compassion for the people. Yes. Thank you for leading by action and results. Thank you for providing me with the opportunity to serve in your cabinet. As you know, like you, it is all for the people. And thank you to some amazing people who I don't get to say it to often enough, because in these roles, you're literally going 24/7. I believe every honorable member in this room deserves a round of applause. And if you're anything like me, you just don't know when to shut it down. So I want to take a moment for some wonderful people, those people in my life that have to put up with me, and I want to say thank you to them all. And so this moment belongs to my teams. My team at home, Khalid and Gabby. My G Squad, the best constituency team in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Team Pine Ridge. Ginger Youths, the amazing, hardworking, innovative team at the Ministry for Grand Bahama. And most importantly, the one and only who gives me strength from day to day, the Father Almighty. Amen. Deputy Speaker, through you, I leave with this. Pine Ridge and Grand Bahama has been through it all. Grand Bahama and the Family Islands have been waiting to feel the love. Lately, Grand Bahama has been having many grand days. The love is real. Our time is now. It's Grand Bahama's time. It's the Family Islands' time. It's Bahamian time. Madam Deputy Speaker, this Davis Cooper administration obviously understood the assignment. We were led and are led by one Honorable Philip Brave Davis, the member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, a compassionate leader of vision. We came to work hard, but work smart for the people. That's why we're getting it done. Creating empowering opportunities for our people. And it's indeed a new day. With this, Deputy Speaker, Pine Ridge supports the 2022-23 budget, the way forward budget for the people. Thank you, and again,
Thank you, Honorable Member. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Marco City.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I would beg the indulgence of the member for Pine Ridge, just with respect to a couple of very quick matters. It was good to hear the efforts being made relative to Port Lucaya. There were two outstanding issues. One was the beach access that I know had been committed roughly about a month ago. Again, the beach access still seemed to be unavailable except by the police station, which is really not the best route when we have a clear pathway down the center of the hotel, is the first point. And the second relates to the access of those vendors, long-suffering vendors at Port Lucaya, to the tourists that are coming in that area. It is our understanding that there is a plan to put additional vendors on Grand Lucayan property itself, who will directly compete with the vendors. We want to just confirm whether or not that is in fact factual. And then finally is the casual employee initiative, transforming persons from casual to P&P. Is that an island-wide initiative or confined to the one industrial company that was mentioned? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Pine Ridge.
With respect to the beach access, the property, as you're aware, is currently under purchase agreement. But the access would have always been the side access. The side access by the police station is the access point that we are beautifying. So that is something that we're working on now. With respect to I think you mentioned the casual labor. That is an exercise that the container port took on based on our recommendation and the concerns that we would have heard from various casual workers over the many years, and I'm sure you've heard it before. And so that is really the container port undergoing that exercise, and we're hoping that other industrial companies would also seek to do the same. With respect to the vendors on the beach access, there will be additional vendors, but they are not vendors that will compete with Port Lukai. You're talking about things like the chairs, the lounge chairs, the beach chairs. You're talking about towels. You're talking about things that are not in the Port Lukai area that if you're having people come, then you're enhancing the experience for the visitors. You need to have these things there. And so it's nothing to compete with the vendors that are in the Port Lukai marketplace. And I'm sure you would be aware that we've been doing many things to try to attract tourists there for the Port Lukai marketplace. We've been very intentional about it, creating the Port Lukai experience and all that. So it's nothing to compete with the vendors.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Central Grand Bahama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. I do remember in her presentation, the minister indicating that there was no work done to the roof at the Randall Memorial Hospital. Just want to go on record saying that in addition to the construction of the new infectious disease wing, work was done to the roof at the Randall Memorial Hospital. There were two contractors. I closely monitored this project. A part of the work was done by Albacore under the leadership of Mr. John Gallagher. There was a leak at the lobby of the operating theater. In order for the machines to be uncovered and certified, the leak must have been repaired, and it was done. I monitored, and after the leak was repaired, those machines were certified. Additionally, over the old maternity and administrative wings, repair work was done by FES under the leadership of Cameron Edgecombe. So work was indeed done to the roof at the Randall Memorial Hospital. So I just want to go on record as saying that, just to provide information for the general public.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Pine Ridge.
The information that I received was that general roof repairs were not done. Maybe that was in a select area, but right. So the roof repair in general after a catastrophic category, I call it category 10 hurricane, did not happen. So yeah, it's leaking out.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for East Grand Bahama.
Very much, Mr. Deputy. I wanted just to follow up in terms of a question that Marco City had presented. I had raised the question, I believe, a couple of months ago in reference to the straw vendors that had received assistance, and had raised the question about the taxi drivers who were also in the same or in a similar position, and whether or not the taxi drivers would have been able to receive the same assistance. I'd raised the question before, and we hadn't heard anything in the presentation, so we'd like to know whether there's been any consideration for the taxi drivers who are under the same circumstances, whether they would be able to receive the same assistance.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I wish to extend get well soon wishes to Veronica Daniels, who is listening, I'm sure. Our thoughts and prayers are with you at this time. As many, the Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for South Central Andros.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I am grateful to be alive and present today, standing representing the great people of Mangrove Key, Central, and South Andros, making my contribution to this honorable House on this government's 2022-2023 budget the way forward, or to adopt the words of the member from Pine Ridge, the budget for the people. However, Deputy Speaker, I hope that I would not only adopt these words, but also one day, as my good friend RJ says, I would be able to say, along with I'm sure Nabi would agree, that we would love to stand in this house and say that we would get our $150 million hospital someday. I definitely know we have the land for it. Mr. Speaker, I must agree with my parliamentary colleagues that this budget presents a more comprehensive picture of a government's vision for the country. We are focused and determined to set out a new course for advancing the economic efficacy of individuals, businesses, organizations, and in turn, the whole country. In our budget projections, we are indicating our priorities and vision, not only for the upcoming year, but also a part of our national strategy in economic diversification and national development. Mr. Speaker, before I get too deep into my contribution, I want to personally congratulate Mr. Norwood Ramming on achieving the Queen's birthday honors, becoming a member of the Order of the British Empire for services to religion and community. Also, to Apostle Dorinda Dean on her recent retirement after 53 years of dedicated service to education. I say congratulations to her. Mr. Speaker, just last week, I had the pleasure to partake in 3 retirement banquets put on by the Ministry of Education, honoring retired teachers, administrators, and custodial workers in the area. And I want to personally thank each and every one of the honorees for their dedication and service provided. Mr. Speaker, in talking about retirees and making sure that I don't get in trouble like my Southern Shores colleague, I must mention my mother, Donna Lundy, who was an educator all her life and just recently retired, and my grandmother, Evangeline Cummings, who is tuned in right now watching her number 1. Mr. Deputy, I wish to announce to the fathers down there in Andros that we'll be hosting a grill out and game day in each and every one of the areas on the 18th of June, in all the areas. And also, I'd like to thank the member for South and Central Eleuthera and also the member for Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador. And just so the member for Exuma doesn't get upset like they will when I say this, I have to remind him that he has a regatta and not a festival. But I want to invite each and every one down to the greatest festival in the Bahamas, Crab Fest, June the 23rd to the 25th. I'm proud to say, Mr. Speaker, that the people of Mangrove Key, Central, and South Andros are poised to reap benefits from the plans set out in this budget. But first, I want to tell you a story about loyalty. Since coming to office, we have opened constituency offices in each of the 3 areas represented by this member. This is an amazing feat, since at no other time has a constituency office been opened in the constituency. This is not necessarily a reflection of the members who previously served these areas, but what it represents is an investment in the communities and lives of the residents of Andros, an indication to them of the focus and commitment that this member has given to their concerns. What this has done, Mr. Speaker, is lifted the spirits of the residents in these communities. They now feel like they are a part of the discussion that are being held concerning their communities and even their country. In the same way, we are now showing to the residents of the Family Islands through the plans in this budget that they are just as important in making contributions to and receiving contributions from the country that they love. We can all agree that loyalty is an important trait in building trust. The announcement that 10% of overall revenue collected in the Family Islands from property tax and road traffic fees will be placed into the Family Island Development Trust is a welcome acknowledgement of the support from this New Day government for the Family Islands and its residents. Mr. Speaker, I know that the people of Mangrove Key, Central, and South Andros are very encouraged by this budget presentation, as many of the plans and projects will greatly benefit them. For example, there is a provision in the budget for the Family Island Development Trust for infrastructure. The funds placed in the Family Island Development Trust is a refreshing measure that ensures that these islands receive the attention and the resources needed to aid in their future development. Consider this, Mr. Speaker. We have heard time and time again how the country is too Nassau focused, how more development needs to occur on the out islands, how residents need to relocate to the islands to assist in the growth of their economies. This fund, Mr. Speaker, will directly impact the infrastructure and development of these islands. As in the case of Andros, infrastructural upgrades will give way to lasting social and economic value. Mr. Speaker, the way forward for any Family Island expansion is to properly plan for its development. We have already seen what happens when communities and city development occurs in a haphazard fashion compared to a planned approach. Case in point, the cities of Nassau and Freeport. Any further development on the islands will be aided by the acknowledgement and understanding that infrastructure is a key component of urban planning. Yes. Mr. Speaker, any foreign direct investor to Andros and other islands will no doubt appreciate the effort to build up key infrastructural elements like roads, docks, bridges, airports, and telecommunications. Take as an example the road development project in Central Andros. Like the member for Golden Gates mentioned, this government is not taking a tactic of stop, review, and cancel for any project that is deemed necessary. I made a promise while campaigning to the people of Andros to get our communities progressing, which means no stop to any plan or project that will advance the cause, living conditions, and communities in these areas. There was a pre-approved project for road work in Central Andros, as outlined by our member for Fort Charlotte, when we came into office. We did not cancel that project. However, with the voices of the people, we discovered that this project only allowed for sand seal paving, and they were not satisfied with it. This goes from the airport going south into Bearing Point in Central Andros. Mr. Speaker, I have heard their complaints levied by my people and have agitated for the project to be converted to asphalt, as is the rest of the northern part of the island. Therefore, the decision has been granted to adjust the conditions so as to allow for asphalt roads throughout the entire Central Andros. The project in South Andros, Mr. Speaker, has also been converted to the same instead of the sand seal. Mr. Speaker, roadworks are just one aspect of infrastructure upgrades planned for Andros and the Family Islands. Airport redevelopment is another component of public works activities that contribute to Family Island development. The government is committed to providing avenues for long-term prosperity for future generations. Mr. Speaker, we are working to encourage sustainable and resource-efficient economies. Yes. Therefore, airport upgrades are planned for the airports in Mangrove Key, in Central Andros, and in South Andros. They will be designed with the flexibility to respond to future trends, adapt to technology, and incorporate eco-friendly solutions as they become available. Of course, my twin to the north in Nabi, Leonardo Lightbourne, will not be left out. As there is also plans. Well, you know, he hasn't given me my turns yet. Yes, I'm number one. I'm number one. Okay. As plans will take shape for the airport upgrade in San Andres also. With the proper infrastructure in place, Mr. Speaker, residents can enjoy the benefits of other concessions laid out in this budget presentation. As the member for Fort Charlotte mentioned, as he has the responsibility for public works, there are several projects that are currently in progress or will shortly for the residents represented by this member. One of the major projects is the bridge at Fresh Creek. Studies are ongoing with the plans in place to create a 2-lane bridge that has the vertical clearance for boats to pass to the western side. This work, Mr. Speaker, is scheduled to begin in the first quarter of 2023. The docks are another focus of the capital works plan for Andros, Mr. Speaker. Like what the member for Fort Charlotte said, in that docks are the economic engine for the Family Islands. And therefore, I'm very excited that we will have construction upgrades to the docks in Lisbon Creek, Fresh Creek, and Little Harbor. Additionally, in my conversation with the member for Fort Charlotte, I am pleased that a new dock will be built in the Dreeks Hill area, in the area known as the Rusty Barge for those who know the area. Speaking of Lisbon Creek, Mr. Speaker, I want to report that the upgrade to the dock involves an extension dock wall and slab, which will provide an additional 250 feet of docking space for those fishermen down there. At the new port of entry in Mangrove Key, the existing port building will be demolished and a new building will be erected to house both the port department and customs department. In the interim, there's a temporary trailer that will be delivered to house the custom officer at the airport until the new airport is completed. We are working, Mr. Speaker, and with the help of the Minister for Works and my great colleague for Fort Charlotte, I know we will get it done. Yes, man. Additional works include the concrete seawall, an additional 334 feet that will be completed in the Burnt Rock settlement, Mr. Speaker. An important sign of a healthy, rebounding economy is home construction. In this budget presentation, this government has laid out plans to offer benefits, incentives, and concessions to building homes. Family Island residents who have short-term rental properties will enjoy duty-free purchases of building materials, furniture, and appliances. Further, there will be concessions for those who are investing in a first home, either by purchasing land for construction, purchasing a first home, or renovating a first home. These concessions will allow residents to mitigate the efforts of inflation that we have experienced and which we are still experiencing. What is important to note, Mr. Speaker, is that these concessions benefit the communities in the Family Islands and can create a stronger economy which will emerge for the residents. Mr. Speaker, the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. The decision to increase salaries of our nurses is overdue, but necessary, as we have seen them selflessly give of their time and energy during this health crisis the world has experienced and is still experiencing. And at this time, I just want to say a special thank you to all the nurses in my area who just celebrated Nurses Month last month. The value that they provide to our citizens and residents cannot be dismissed. And so the increases set out will, I'm sure, be a welcome relief. Mr. Speaker, in this budget, plans are in place to undertake renovations to many hospitals and clinics across the islands. And some islands will be getting new hospitals and clinics as well. I'm happy to report that Mangrove Key is among the islands getting a new clinic. Mr. Speaker, again, for too long, we have talked about diversifying this economy. Tourism is an integral aspect of our GDP. It has sustained us for many years and continues to generate enormous revenue for our people. However, a smart person knows that one should not place all eggs in one basket. This budget maps out our continued support for small business growth and development. Some $50 million are set to be allocated for this purpose as a way of prioritizing this sector. Mr. Speaker, we acknowledge that micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises contribute to the economy by creating jobs for the growing labor force and stimulating economic development in areas outside of the city limits. A vibrant MSME sector is an indication of a thriving and growing economy. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is imperative that this government structure policies that reduce the constraints on the businesses, allowing them to realize their full potential. Bringing relief to our people is the way forward, Mr. Speaker. That is why we have set out plans to train and certified Bahamians to operate in the solar power sector. We've also fostered investments in agriculture to diversify the economy. We have committed $50 million to the Small Business Development Center and also partnered with the central bank to increase circulation and use of the sand dollar to reduce transaction costs for small businesses. Mr. Speaker, this budget is designed to ensure that we expand the blue and green economies to allow for economic diversification and financing opportunities. The people of Andros are poised and ready to take advantage of this economic policy through the realization of several types of business ventures within agriculture, fisheries, and forestries. The establishment of new technologies and new initiatives that protect our natural forests and enhance our renewable infrastructure will also be seen with the monetization of carbon credits. The creation of a carbon market will involve not only technocrats, Mr. Speaker, but educators, scientists, and other specialists who will guide the implementation of innovative technologies in this arena. Revenue generated through the carbon market will work towards maintaining our forests, our mangroves, and our very important seabeds. Mr. Speaker, we know that climate change is a real thing. We cannot say that it's only during hurricanes that we see its effects. In fact, we have seen it over the past few weeks and just a few days here in the capital. Just a few hours of rain, just a day of rain, and we see how easy our day-to-day lives have been adjusted. If you mix the rains with a king tide or storm surge, or even a tornado, as the member for Fort Charlotte just mentioned, Mr. Speaker, the long-term impact can be devastating. So as we invest future into climate finance, the introduction of carbon credits, we know that all the necessary steps must be taken to mitigate the devastation. As stated earlier, I'm happy again to report that our approval has been given for the construction of the seawall in Burnt Rock for over 300 feet. This will at least prevent the surge associated with terrible storms and help the residents who live and work on the coastline over there in Burnt Rock and those that commute throughout the area. I hope to be able to return to this House one day soon and say, with the assistance of the member for Fort Charlotte, that more seawalls will be built in the Central Andros and South Andros area. Mr. Speaker, I have mentioned, yes. Mr. Speaker, I have mentioned many strategies that this budget addresses to diversify the economy. There are many ways to do this, through sports tourism, agricultural, maritime, and shipping enterprises. Mr. Speaker, we have started discussions and plans within Central and South Andros to partner with BAMSI, BAIC, and BTVI to enhance the educational skills within the communities and also to spur creative business partnerships. The guidance of these institutes, along with the SBDC, will help to craft business plans and provide grants and loans for business development and expansion. Mr. Speaker, I wish to briefly highlight the announcements made by the member for Central and South Eleuthera. And I'm so glad he wasn't in here when I made my announcement earlier, because I'm sure he wouldn't have been happy. But he mentioned the purchase of a vessel for the Department of Marine Resources. This vessel is slated to be utilized in Andros by our Marine Resources Department, and it's a much-needed asset. The member also stated that there are allocations for a $5 million subvention to BAIC and over $6 million subvention to BAMSI, which I would love for all to be in South Andros, but I understand I have a partner in North Andros too, so I'll allow him to share it around. Yeah, I understand. These are important for the country to get serious and stay serious about food security. Not only that, but we will also show that we are investing in growing our own food and providing education and training for the sustainability of this sector. Mr. Speaker, I was really privileged to travel to the 3 communities that I represent to pay tribute to educators who have retired. There were many moving tributes and kind words said to these teachers, administrators, and also custodial workers. Unfortunately, we know that words, although kind, can only go so far. Therefore, the announcement of an increase in salary and a retention bonus for teachers, along with the nurses, is another factor that shows how this Davis Cooper administration is putting our people first. Teachers and students will continue to enjoy certain benefits. I'm speaking of the free tuition provided by the University of the Bahamas and the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute. Not to be undone, there are subventions in place for those attending BAMSI, the Maritime Academy, and even the University of West Indies. Mr. Speaker, just so the member for Central and South Eleuthera can hear and not hear it secondhand, before I close, I want to invite each and every one down to the best festival in the Bahamas, Crab Fest, June the 23rd to the 25th. I'm looking forward to each of my colleagues being there. Accommodation every place. Well, he's the Paul Sec in your ministry, right? Mr. Speaker, our nation is almost 50 years old. We have determined that we will be self-governed. We must now determine the way forward. Our people are the greatest resources, and it's our duty to look out for even the least amongst us. The cries of high food prices, the agony of high cost of living, the pain of high construction fees, these are some of the challenges that are being addressed in this 2022-2023 budget by this New Day administration. I'm reminded of the scripture in Matthew that talks about taking care of the least of these. If we take care of the most vulnerable and those in need, Mr. Speaker, I believe we all can agree that everyone will prosper and succeed. Mr. Speaker, Mangrove Key, Central, and South Andros supports this budget.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for West Grand Bahama and Bimini.
Mr. Deputy, at this point, we shall break for the lunch. Returning at 3 o'clock, the opposition would be in the chair on the floor at 3 o'clock.
Is there a seconder?
Call for suspension.
Everybody ready to go? It has been moved and seconded that the business of the House be suspended to 3 p.m. As many are in favor, will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of the House stands suspended to 3 p.m.
All right.